Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Equality in the United States actually looks like. This grain of rice represents $200,000. That's about the median net worth of a citizen in the United States, which means if you took our population and drew a line split down the middle, about half of us have this much or less. Half of us have this much or less. Just going to put that down right there. 1 grain of rice. This is $1 million. 5 grains of rice. When most of us think rich, we think of $1 million. This is $100 million. This is about the net worth of CEOs who delay and deny care for sick Americans. This is also about the net worth of CEOs who tell Americans to eat cereal if they can't afford food for their hungry kids. This is $277 million. This is Elon Musk's personal investment in the 2024 elections. This is what he spent to buy the presidency. This is $1 billion. This is the approximate net worth of Vivek Ramaswamy. Only 800 people in the United States have this much money or more. As a frame of reference, think about how many people you went to high school with. Only 800. And this is $6.3 billion. This is the approximate net worth of Donald Trump. He recently said in an interview that he doesn't think he can bring grocery prices down after running his campaign on a promise to do so. He also blames immigrants who have less than a fraction of a grain of rice each for a lot of the financial troubles facing our country. And this is Elon Musk. He's worth $400 billion. He spent $277 million on the 2024 election cycle, while we have homeless veterans on our streets and hungry kids in our schools. This is what actual wealth disparity looks like in America. Each grain of rice is worth $200,000. And Elon Musk also wants to fire 75% of our federal workforce, which includes a majority of veterans. He wants to fire 75% of these people who have a single grain of rice trying to earn a living and feed their families because he says that that's inefficient. Musk, Ramaswamy, and certain members of Congress also want to consider cutting social welfare programs to support people with less than a single grain of rice from going into poverty. They want to look at cutting these programs because they believe that that's inefficient. Now that we finished the civics lesson, let's talk.
Yeah, he started preaching after that, but the perspective with the rice is where I was at. All right.
Right.
What up, family? This is Joe from No Picks Podcast.
Hey, what up, family? This is Ty from No Picks Podcast.
All right, family. So I saw this clip and it blew my mind. I know that me and Ty have been talking a lot about the future of America, our government. You know, Trump's going to be inaugurated, I believe, on Monday, right? This coming Monday is the 6th. So I think this Monday is where he gets sworn in. I could be wrong, but it's going to be sometime this month.
I thought it was the 20th.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong, y'all. It's going to be in a couple weeks, right? It's in January, though. I know that. But anyway, Ty, you saw the clip. I thought it was an interesting clip.
Yeah.
What did you think? Any initial thoughts or reactions?
I mean, all right. So the first thing is this. I'll ask you because maybe I misunderstood. What is the argument he was trying to make?
So the point of this was to provide perspective on wealth inequality in America.
Okay.
That's how he framed it. So 1 grain of rice was worth $200,000.
Right. So he was saying have people make less than that, have people make more than that in America?
In America, if you draw a line in the middle, in the half of people make $200,000 or less. So half of people in America only have 1 grain of rice or less.
Okay. So he was saying, his argument was that the richer people, somebody like Elon Musk who has, you know, that pile of grain of rice, are trying to cut programs for people who make less than that grain of rice.
Benefit people who have 1 grain of rice or less.
Yeah, I mean, like,
how you feel about that?
I mean, it's like it's a weird, like, I guess I don't know. I guess it was a weird argument that he was making to me because I didn't understand what he was trying to say.
He was trying to demonstrate wealth inequality, bro. Like, did you see them piles of rice? So
Yeah.
1 grain of rice. Think about it. Most people I know in my life have less than 1 grain of rice.
Right.
We're talking about 200 Ks, 1 grain of rice.
Right.
I'm not even touching a full grain of rice yet. My goal is to be up there, but
Right.
I'm not even touching a grain of rice. So when he said half of people in America have a 100 grain of rice, I'm trying to think how many people do I know personally who are making that kind of money, and it's not many. Now, not a lot of people in my circle are making that money, and I'm not trying to put anybody in my circle out there, but just for perspective, I don't know that many people making 200K or who have that much.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he said half, that's the middle. Remember, it could be less than that. So, but half of people fall from 200K or less. Then you saw 277 million. That's how much Elon Musk paid to the Trump campaign to get his spot in his administration. Then you got 6.8 billion, which is how much Trump's net worth is. Vivek Ramaswamy was about 1 billion something. And then you saw that big old pile, 400 billion is basically how much Elon Musk is worth. And he has that big pile of all them grains of rice. But he was trying to say that Elon Musk and people like him want to cut programs that benefit people who only have 1 grain of rice or less. These are the programs he's trying to cut benefit people who only have 1 grain of rice.
Yeah.
So, for example, last month in December, if you guys were following the debt ceiling issue, remember when they thought the government was going to close down and they were trying to figure out how to gut the bill and how to make it cheaper because Elon Musk didn't approve of it? And they had to go back to the drawing board and present something new and cut some pages out of the proposal, and they finally got it done. You know what was cut from that? There was a $170 million program that went to funding leukemia research, so cancer for kids. They cut that program. 170 million. They cut that to approve this bill. And they're trying to raise the debt ceiling so that they can approve Trump's tax cuts. I'm sorry, extend the Trump's tax cuts. That's why Trump is trying to raise the debt ceiling now, or even get rid of it all completely. But he's trying to raise it now so we can pay for the tax cuts for the rich. So these are the things that they're okay with.
All right. So let me say this.
Benefit the people who have 1 grain of rice.
So let me say this. We talked about this before, right? But my entire argument against taking money from other people to give to less fortunate is I don't trust the effectiveness of the federal government to do it. Like now listen, if they proved themselves, if they have already proved themselves to be like, yo, we are, effective managers of funds, and we do the appropriate things for the people at the bottom of the totem pole, then I would be all on board with being like, yo, you know what? Maybe give these government agencies something because they do the right things with the money, right? So let me give you an example. So Governor Gavin Newsom of California made the news recently because he had a press conference, and there was a reporter that asked him. They said, "Yo, California spent $29 billion on the homelessness issue within this past year of 2024. It's 2025 now, but in 2024, the government of California spent $25 billion on homelessness, and it shot up higher than it's ever been before. So who's accounting for these funds and who's doing anything with it? Gavin Newsom said, well, you know what? We just give the money to local, municipalities, and, they do it with it. And then he tried to move on. And then the person said, no. But in your administration, I get it. You give it to, you're the big dog in the state. And then you give it to the small dog, which is the local municipalities to take care of the government, the homelessness issues in each, whatever county. But in your administration, who's accounting for this money? He didn't have an answer. He did the political thing and kind of just didn't answer. So these people take this money and they give it away, and they don't know who the hell it goes to. So I don't.
But bro, you're right. You're right. But we've talked about this before. But think about the Department of Defense, bro. The Pentagon can't pass an audit. They haven't passed the audit in 3 or 4 years.
Agreed.
For the tune of $90 billion or more just missing that they can't account for.
But Joe, that proves my point. I don't think the government is a good steward of being like, yo, even if the government took all of Elon Musk's money and killed them and put them in a ditch somewhere, you think poor people would be any better off?
I don't know, but that's also not the argument that I'm making. I'm saying that we should tax them more so we can have money to afford for policies that can feed people or help people who have 1 grain of rice.
But that's assuming.
I'm going to keep going back to the grain of rice.
But Joe, that's assuming
1 grain of rice.
But Joe, but that's assuming that the government is doing anything. They don't know how to account for the money that they take now from us. So I don't know why you have so much faith in the federal and whatever government to say, hey, I'll take all, like, let's just say in a perfect world, in your perfect world, they take all the money from all the billionaires, and all the billionaires go from $200 billion or $1 trillion to $200 million each. All the billionaires, I have $200 million now, and they can do whatever they want, which is still enough to do whatever they want for the rest of their life and have a fantastic time. Why do you think that the government is going to take those extra $1 trillion and help the less fortunate? Because they haven't ever showed that they can do that.
So you're saying, so okay, so are you saying that
no, but answer my question first.
I think that they will. I think we should try it.
You think that they will?
Try it. Given what we have now, given the wealth inequality that we have now, given that people like Elon Musk have that many grains of rice, and
but they're not doing it now, though, Joe. Yes. Like take California. Take California. It's documented that they've taken more billions from all these rich people in California, and they have no idea what's happening with the money. Like, Joe, what they're doing, but Joe, what they're doing is taking these billions and making other millionaires.
Then hold people accountable.
But they're not. But Joe, that's not what they're doing, though. They're not doing it.
But are you saying it's impossible to ever create a system where we can tax people at a fair rate and then make sure that money is being used the way it's supposed to be used? Is that impossible?
I think it's impossible for how the government is now because they're not doing it.
Right, but the government can. Well, I'm not saying. Listen, I hate putting all my trust in the government. I'm with you in that regard. What I'm saying is, if your complaint is that they're going to mismanage the money, I don't understand why there can't be a reality where we're taxing people at a fair rate and then creating systems to regulate and hold people accountable and make sure that money goes where it's supposed to go, so that we're avoiding waste and fraud and all that other stuff.
So should something happen to Gavin Newsom? So should he be brought up on charges? Should he? Because his administration is not managing the money.
He should be brought up on charges.
So if this starts happening and people are starting to be held accountable for this kind of stuff, then Joe, I would support this shit. The only reason I don't support it is because it would make sense. The reason I don't support the way you're saying it is because it's just you're taking this
fairly.
No. Joe, taxing people fairly will just make sure other people get rich. Just like what's happening in California. What's happening in California is they're taking all this money from all these rich people in California and giving it to these nonprofits. And guess what? These nonprofit people are becoming rich.
So what's your alternative?
So you take a nigga like
what's
you. I don't know the alternative.
I hear your complaint. I
don't know the alternative.
What is your alternative? So that means, so you spent so much time criticizing what a possibly could be that you haven't even thought of a way
it's happening now. It's not a possibility. It's happening right now. They don't know what's happening to these billions of dollars, Joe. Like your issue is billionaires. You hate billionaires, right? So if they take all of Elon Musk's billions of dollars, nothing is happening with this money. I
don't want to take all his money. I just want him to tax him fairly, and that money goes to social programs.
But it's not happening. They're saying they're giving it to homeless people, and there's more homeless people than ever.
You can't. So the system that you're defending is shit. My thing is, if you're going to criticize any other alternative, you have to offer something better than what currently is. And if your response is, I don't know, then I don't know how you can speak with so conviction about something that not, like, you have so much criticism, negative criticism towards an alternative reality where we tax fairly.
Alternative reality. We in a fucking matrix now?
You don't have you'd rather just keep it the way it is and let the billionaires keep hoarding more grains of rice. What is the alternative, bro? I'm trying to
Joe, what you're not seeing is that your alternative is taking billions from one person and giving billions to another person. You're just giving billions to another person. You're not creating any kind of wealth. You're not creating any kind of equality.
We don't have
California
now.
Is taxing rich people and giving it to other rich people. They're not. Do
you see how many grains of rice these billionaires in the Trump administration have? Do you see how many grains of rice they have? Remember, 1 grain of rice is $200K, bro. Most Americans only have 1 or less, and they're cutting programs that benefit people. Veterans, a lot of them veterans. You're a veteran, bro. The fact that you stand by some of this, I'm like, yo, how can you call yourself part of the military and not support veterans, bro? You're gonna be a veteran when you finish this.
They're not changing. Like you're seeing what you want to see. They're not changing.
So let me ask you something, because I didn't ask you this last time, right? And we're going to shift gears in a little bit. But so last time you told me when we were talking about Luigi the first time and about taxes and automation and all that stuff, you said something that resonated with me, and I thought about it for a few days because I was like, damn, I really wish I had asked you, right? And you said, like, I just accept it is what it is. This is the system. This is the way that it is. I accept it. So I have a question for you because it's interesting. So I know you don't like to talk about slavery that much, right? But I got a question for you. Because if our ancestors had just been like, you know what? This is what it is. We're slaves. This is what we were born into. It is what it is. And they accepted their fate. We would still be in shackles right now. But it took people thinking, yo, this doesn't have to be this way. There is a different future. Slavery doesn't have to be the MO. This doesn't have to be okay. This doesn't have to be it
What's
took
your question?
people who thought that there could be a different reality, a different way of living, a different form of governing. It took people who could see outside the box, who had imagination, who envisioned a better future. It took our ancestors to fight for that. Imagine if our ancestors had been like, well, ain't nothing we could do, son. What if I would have told my son, there's
So
nothing
what's
you
your
can do. I was
question?
born
What's
slave.
your question?
You're going to be a slave. Your son's going to be a slave. It just is what it is, son. We just got to accept it. This is how it is. What if our ancestors had just accepted what it was? We wouldn't have the freedom we have today.
So
You don't
is that your question?
you don't find that ironic?
Is that your question to me?
Think differently, and you just accept shit for what it is?
Is that your question to? So your question is, what if we stay slaves? Is that your question to me?
How would you have felt if our ancestors didn't think that slavery could never be abolished, if there's nothing we could ever do about it, and we were still enslaved to this day? Which technically we are, because slavery is still legal. I hope y'all been following that case that's been happening in Alabama, where they're leasing out prisoners right now. If you haven't heard about that story, they're literally leasing out prisoners to work at McDonald's, Walmart's, modern day slavery. Look into it. So Ty, how would you felt if our ancestors had just given up and said, "This is the reality, son. No, that nothing we can do. Master's always going to rule. Master's always going to be controlled. This is it. This is just the reality that."
Is that your question? What's your question? Is what I'm trying to ask you.
What I'm trying to say is, last time you said you just accept it for what it is, so that's why things aren't going to change. And I'm like, bro, if your ancestors, if our ancestors would have just accepted their lot in life, and the fact that the system, the system that was there, Jim Crow, slavery, if we had just thought there's no other alternative, this is life that it is, we wouldn't be free, bro. We wouldn't be here where we are now to talk on this mic through this damn internet, to talk to people on the internet. Like, we wouldn't be here. So for you to just be like, yo, it just is what it is, I'm like, bro, how ironic that our ancestors had to fight against reality, had to fight against unjust laws, had to think differently and imagine a world, a society that could be better, where we could have more freedom for us to have what we have, and die for that, and be humiliated for that. And they fought for that, and we got it. And now you're here in 2025, 2024 talking about.
Can you just make it a concise question so I can answer the question? Because you're going on like.
I'm not going on nothing. I know which point I'm making.
No, I don't understand the point you're making.
I know you don't. Every time we talk about this, I can see how you don't understand the point. What I'm saying is, if our ancestors didn't believe that there could be a different world, we'd still be enslaved. And for you to sit here and say you just accept shit for the way it is, instead of having the imagination and the courage to think that we could have a better future for average people, and not
the same government that you trust to take all the money from the billionaires, or the same government that is, bro.
I don't trust the government.
But if you want me to answer the question, I got to answer it. Like, I can't. You can't just be the only one answering your own question.
You're so quick to criticize anything that's going to benefit the average worker, but when we ask you what the alternative is, I don't know what the alternative is. All right.
Okay, but Joe, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. I don't know what the alternative is, but your answer to the alternative is just trusting government more. That's your answer, and I think that's even sillier than saying I don't know.
Fairly. I want to.
Okay, but Joe, if they take all the money from the billionaires and just give it and give it to the government,
all their money.
Okay,
I don't want to.
If they take 90% of their money,
I don't want to take 90% of their money.
What percentage of money do you want to take from the billionaires? What percentage of their money do you want to take?
Let's say 5%.
Okay, so if they take 5% of the billionaires' money,
of $400 billion is? Do you know what 5% of $400 billion?
Wait, who has 400 billion? Like, what billionaire are you talking about?
We just saw the video about grains of rice, bro. He had 400. That is his net.
So him specifically, you want to take his 5% of his money specifically?
Well, I'm trying to use his example because we're talking about Elon Musk. We're talking about Trump. He's in his. Let's use Trump. What's 5% of 6.8 billion?
I don't know. What is it?
I'm gonna tell you right now, because that's why I'm like, bro, you're talking about 90%, 70%. We're talking about billions. 6% of, let's say Trump, 6.8 billion. You got to see how.
I mean, bro,
ridiculous you
listen, they
sound,
gave
bro.
$8.6 billion to fucking Ukraine the other day. So like they have this money. They gave more than Trump's net worth to Ukraine. But you think that they're going to give it to you or some like nigga, no, they ain't doing it. They're going to give it to somebody else. Or they're going to take the fucking money. Like I don't know where this unshakable trust in the government comes now. Like I don't understand this shit.
6.8 billion times 0.05. 5% of 6.8 billion is $340 million.
$340 million. That's a decimal to what they give to
means
Ukraine every fucking month.
So that means after you take that out, that means Trump has after you tax him 5%, Trump still has that's not even think about it. He's worth 6.8 billion. You're not even taxing him you're taxing him for 370 million.
Yo,
that means he still has
Gavin Newsom
billions of dollars left.
Had $25 billion to play with. And there are more homeless people than ever in California.
But Ty, that's what I'm trying to. You keep saying like even if you tax one wealthy billionaire 5%,
it'll just be more money into some kind of fucking nonprofit that does nothing.
So So how do you feel about the grains of rice, bro? Like, how do you think about the wealth inequality in America? Do you think
it sucks?
Do you think that's okay?
No, I don't think it's okay.
Does it disgust you? Does it infuriate you?
I mean, it doesn't disgust me or infuriate me, but I think it's no, it doesn't disgust me or infuriate me. No, but I would never trust the government to distribute money to poor people effectively because they don't do it now and they never have.
Run our country, but you trust billionaires to run our country?
No, I don't trust any of these scumbags to run our country, but I don't expect daddy government to save my fucking life. I don't expect that either.
Why defend them, bro? You contradict yourself, bro.
I don't contradict myself at all. I'm being very clear about what I'm saying. You're just trying not to hear it. But I
hear what you're saying.
They can't be trusted. You need to grab your. I don't know what the alternative is. But the alternative isn't trusting government to take more money and do whatever they want with it. That's not the alternative.
Why don't that be your homework assignment? Why don't you think about what an alternative is that could make America better?
Your homework assignment should be: why do you trust the government so much to take away the billionaires' money to do something effective with it when they don't do it already?
Every country, every developed nation has a form of taxation in which they fund their country and public services. We're not one. Every industrialized developed nation has that. And some are fairer than others. I'm asking for a fairer tax code, a fairer tax system. That is all I'm asking for. That is what I'm asking for.
Okay.
Other countries have universal health care. Other countries have free childcare. Other countries have free college. Other countries have all these programs. We have none of that. All I'm asking for is fairer taxation so that the average person has more relief because there is way too much wealth in.
Listen, bro, you don't think I want relief? You don't think I want relief? I want relief. I would love relief.
No, I don't.
I would love relief. But the government is not going to give me any relief. Guess what, Joe? So the government ain't going to give you no fucking relief either.
What's the alternative? You can't argue against something if you have
the alternative is get your money up, work more, and try more. That's it.
Pull up your bootstraps.
That's the only. That's the.
Eat cereal for dinner. Stop going to the movies. Elon Musk.
T.I. had this line. T.I. had this line that resonated with me. He was like, "Yo, it was on his song, the album. Damn, I forget what it's called. But he was like, "Yo, the government is not gonna fucking come and save you. You gotta save yourself." That's true. The government is not gonna save us, bro. Like it's not. Regardless of your color, the government ain't gonna save us. You gotta save yourself.
Save me. I want a fair tax system.
All right. Well, listen, family. Let us know what y'all think.
That's all I want.
Let us know what y'all think, family. If do y'all side with Joe? Y'all sound. Let us know what y'all think. Like, comment,
about this.
subscribe. We keep talking about. Listen, the next topic I got is something similar to this too. So let's keep going. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time.